my name's Chanel,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm an artist, and I've been an artist for, whoa, I want to say I started when I was 23.
Okay.
I am now 36, so do the math.
What does female empowerment mean to you?
Female empowerment means to me just simply women who really are unapologetic about their worth, them really owning their worth, stepping into a place like that, because for so long it's just been such a male dominated world, you know?
Yes.
And so for women to really be able to step into that and knowing what that means and what that looks like what is my worth? What does that mean to me? And the more that I see women step into that and how unapologetic that they are in that, the more I see women empowerment. Just from the 10 years of working in Japan, Japanese women are very strong women. However, I think that in my 10 years experience out there, a lot has changed.
Yes.
But when I was, first out there, I felt women were very silenced. I felt they kind of accepted that too, because it's just a part of the culture. They may have a lot of opinions. They may have a lot of, things that they want to express. But Japan is a very conservative country. I remember when people was interviewing me, just kind of little things that's kind of like normal to me, like working out, me, cussing a lot. I cuss a lot.
Yeah.
Me being very blunt and honest and straightforward. Me being a tomboy. It's all very like, I guess male traits.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was always very profound to them. It's like, oh my God, you work out and you lift weights? Yeah. Or they'll say something like, wow, that was really honest. It was just like straight to the point. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Beat around the bush? But, so I had to, it was a very interesting learning experience for me to see how the culture is, because I feel like, I think that it is expected for women to be silent out there.
Right.
And, half of me is like, it's the culture. Hopefully more and more women start feeling uncomfortable in a good way, so that they can actually step out of that and start really like stepping into their own zone and their own worth, and not being afraid to just really truly be themselves and speak their minds. I think Japan has like a beautiful culture, and I love how courteous they are and how much they are empathetic and all of that. I feel like all of those traits are really powerful traits that I feel people in the U.S. can, balance out a little bit more, but, compared to the U.S. has more of like this freedom. And I mean, speaking of like female empowerment, I mean, even in the U.S., women are only kind of now, you hear the Me Too's, you hear the, all of these women movements and all of that. It's really only been, really exploding in the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, times change, and I'm grateful that we are growing as human beings, as women. I'm so glad that we are allowing ourselves to just step out of the norm, or what was considered the norm.
Yeah.
What the hell is normal, right? I don't know what it is about the U.S., but whatever happens in the U.S., it slowly trickles down to the rest of the world.
It does.
And, and I feel Japan, I think it's going to take some time, but it'll get there. And I'm already seeing, women that are super independent out there, but they're very quiet, independent women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very quiet.
They don't really step up, and not that they need to necessarily, but I just, there's just certain things that I like to kind of encourage women out there. Hey, don't be afraid to say this, because I feel like there's just sometimes a little too much acceptance, or too much kind of like trying to bury things, as opposed to, no, this needs to be talked about. And they might not like to hear it, and it might be a little uncomfortable, but it's definitely going to be a learning experience. And you have to treat, how do they say that term? You got to teach people how to treat you. So it's like, if you don't teach people how to treat you, they're going to continue to treat you however they choose. That it's in your hands to kind of maneuver that. So
definitely. Like, have you ever encountered like gender inequality or any prejudices during your career thus far? And if so, can you give us an example?
You know, for the longest time, like a girl has to look a certain way. They have to be, you know, majority of the time, they have to be like, you know, beautiful, you know, like they, whatever beautiful means, you know, they have to have this particular look. They have to be skinny, or they have to, you know, I love how like there's more mixture in the industry now of women, you know, with all kinds of different looks, you know, where they don't have to worry about being a freaking size 0. You know what I mean? And they can just focus on their artistry. But there's still not a lot of that going on. Guys, on the other hand, it's almost like it doesn't fucking matter what they look like. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they could just focus on their art. They could just ask for what they want, and people respect that. You know, you often hear about, oh, you know, she slept with so and so and she made it on the way up. And if guys was screwing a whole bunch of whoever female execs, we don't ever hear about it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just those kinds of conversations seems to be like so normal, but it, in a sense, it's just like it's so belittling and it's so like sexist, and it's really annoying. So it's stuff like that. I have personally experienced, I don't know if you call it gender inequality, but I've experienced kind of like just the male dominant power thing, you know, where when I was starting out as an artist, I'm all about my business. And so I won't mention any artist names. But, you know, but it was like I had a meeting with this particular artist, and, you know, I went with my friend, and, you know, he said to meet at his hotel room because he happens to be in New York for, you know, just one night or whatever. And there was a particular song that I was interested in collaborating with him to put out. So I went over there, and it was just a hot mess. It was like, I went in there, and I was like, hey, thanks for having me, blah, blah, blah. I won't take up too much of your time. You know, sat on the couch, and this guy just decided to put his head on my lap. You know, it's just, that's that thing, you know? That's that thing where it's just like they feel so privileged. Like they could just do that. And, you know, I mean, there are some women who wouldn't mind that. And that's a whole other conversation. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, in some of these guys' defense, they'll be like, well, you know, women love that and blah, 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 this, that. What? You know, so it's really hard to kind of like stand your ground as a woman when there are some women out there that allows for those kinds of things to happen. And here, you know, a woman like myself coming in, trying to talk business, and, you know, like that whole hotel room thing. I mean, people also like have arguments about that. They're like, well, you should have known better. It's a hotel room. We're artists. We're always in a fucking hotel room. You know what I mean?
I know.
So, granted, I didn't go by myself.
Good.
Brought a friend.
Good.
You know, because in the back of my head, I did feel like you never know. And that's another thing. The fact that I have to protect myself, the fact that I have to have that in the back of my head, it's layer upon layer, girl. So definitely had some experiences for sure. I was really thinking about this question, and I was like, should I say Oprah? And, you know, should I say, like, I don't know, Whitney Houston? But, you know, when I really think about it, especially in the topic of, you know, women empowerment, I look up to women in general. I think that we're special creatures, man.
We are.
As I grow older, I just appreciate the female species like so much. The ones that I noticed that I kind of tend to like maybe go back and want to learn more about them or whatnot, you know, are women that I have similarities with, like, you know, women who are super ambitious, who often talks about what their dreams are, and women who encourage, you know, people around them to, you know, just be go-getters and do all that kind of stuff. So I noticed that I tend to kind of want to indulge myself in listening to women like that. But just overall, in general, just like women are just, really some powerful creatures. I think that we're very underrated. The fact that, we hear stuff like, behind every good man is a good woman, right?
Right.
But there's so much to that, because people don't, it's like the whole, we don't know what happens behind closed doors kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of power is held in, women's words, in women's encouragement, in women's touch.
Oh, yeah.
We're so powerful that we're probably one of the best manipulators in the world. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
I encourage for female empowerment to grow. I definitely feel like it's super important, especially for the rest of the world. I have nothing against culture, but sometimes culture can really be paralyzing in a sense, and because I was born in Malaysia and I grew up in Australia and I, worked in Japan, I love culture and I love traveling and I love learning about all that stuff. And when I encounter a lot of kind of women's lives and they just have so much to teach. Yeah. They have so much to share. They have so much to inspire. And I feel like if more and more women really truly see that within themselves, a lot of the world can change for the better, And so I encourage it. So all the female empowerment movement and all of those kinds of women, just please continue. Because it takes a lot of us, not just one of us, it takes a lot of us before we see a humongous change, and it's happening. So I wouldn't stop now.